Good evening. Welcome to Dar Faruuq Center. My name is Abdullahi Farah. That's Abdulahi. Last name Farah, Farah. I welcome you to this press conference today. As you are aware of the latest updates, I would like to first welcome Jaylani, the Executive Director of CARE.
My name is Jaylani Hussein, Jaylani Hussein. I'm the Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, Minnesota. I'll make a brief remark today. First of all, we would like to thank and welcome the swift response to this unfortunate tragedy by the law enforcement today to capture those who are suspects at this point. So we welcome the law enforcement's action in apprehending those suspects, and obviously them not being from this state made this case a bit difficult. It's not every day in the United States that a mosque is bombed or a plot to kill Muslims is foiled, but unfortunately this is the reality of this current environment. We are not surprised, but we are extremely concerned about the fact of what we have learned so far, that these individuals committed a very sophisticated, a well-funded project, and not something that was done by someone of a normal stature. This is a well-funded, well-organized attack that we have learned about today. We also know that in each year, nearly $60 million is spent in organized anti-Muslim hate propaganda in this country that leads to individuals who often target other groups to now zero in on Muslims. We are concerned today that we believe it is possible that one of our neighbors of our communities may have put the target on this mosque, forcing individuals who live in Illinois to decide to attack a mosque in Minnesota. We recognize that the anti-Muslim organizing in this country is well sophisticated, and oftentimes the radicalization that is happening online. And many of these groups are not only organized, but also they are individuals who have access to not only weapons. As we learned today, the charge that is being held initially is a weapons charge. Also, we are not, unfortunately, we still are concerned about the fact of who else was involved in this attack, who else knew what these individuals were doing, who crossed state lines to come to our community and to bomb us. We recognize the early motivations are exactly what the anti-Muslim organizing has pushed, to push Muslims out, to drive fear in our communities. But today we want to reaffirm that our community is going to be resilient. We are going to continue to be here, to stand up and to celebrate what America has been for many people, including those who worship at this mosque, which is a welcoming environment. And so while there's still many questions to be asked, we are grateful that at least the individuals who have bombed our mosque today are apprehended. But we must remind our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, that this matter of Islamophobia, this anti-Muslim organizing, it is not just criticism, it is allowing for individuals to act on those by planning, by orchestrating such an attack that we are learning today just a few pieces of information about. So with that, I will stop and allow for this.
Next, I would like to call Mohammed Omar, who is the Executive Director of Dar Faruuq Center.
My name is Muhammad Omar. I'm the Executive Director of Darul Faruuq Center. And as Darul Faruuq Community Center, our Darul Faruuq community today, we are so glad that justice has been served, and the people who bombed us, now they are in detention and they have been detained. And we also, we thanking to the law enforcement who worked hard and put all the pieces together, to bring these people in front of justice. And also our message today to our community is we will strive, we'll be resilient, we'll be strong. At the same time, we have a lot of concerns. We have a lot of questions. As Darul Faruuq Center, we want to know why. Why us from Illinois to Minnesota to our mosque? We don't know what we did to them. We don't know those individuals. Why did they target us? That's the question we want to still waiting the answer from the law enforcement and people who are doing the investigation. On the other hand, the other message we have to our neighbors who came in our support, we thank them, but still, this is not something happened overnight. This is something that they've been planning, and they've been doing for a long time. And we have seen people from our community who are defending when we were attacked. They were in the social media, some of the news outlets, social media, there were comments saying that Muslims they have to be killed. A lot of bad comments we have seen, and especially people who are saying this is fake. So today we have seen, and we are witnessing, it's not fake. So we want our community at large to speak out. When bad people are a small number, but they're loud enough to organize and to attempt to kill us. So we are saying, our message today is, if you are silent, I consider you are like a killer, because we are getting attacked day after day, and we have a lot of good people who are not saying anything, just being silent, and that's an experience of silence, and that can kill us because we need support. In this case, we cannot make when some of us being marginalized and some of us being cornered. This is what happened. A bad guy will see that this is their chance to get us and to harm us. So we are saying to our neighbors, the community at large, this is the time that we need to unite. And lastly, I would say that this is a new, today it happened, so we're still learning a lot, and we still want to know exactly who they connected from Minnesota, and who these people told about us. I mean, this is so shocking to us when I heard Central Illinois, a small town they came from, and they attack us. That was shocking. So we still want to all those questions, and we were saying we don't want to be silent. We want to be out loud. We want to be loud and loud enough to defend our rights. And also we are expecting our neighbors and our community at large to stand by us and to help us in these difficult times. And thank you.
Next, I would like to call Imam Asad from Muslim American Society.
Good evening. I am Imam Asad Zaman, ASADZAMAN, Executive Director, Muslim American Society of Minnesota. Words have power. President Trump, when asked about this bombing, questioned whether or not it was fake news. I call upon President Trump to unequivocally condemn this act of terror. I call upon him to call it an act of terror and to condemn it. Words have power. A question arises, what would cause somebody who lives in Illinois to target this particular mosque? Why this one out of the 75 in Minnesota? Would it be because there is a neighbor who has posted not less than 250 blog posts condemning and critiquing and attacking this mosque? Words have power. This needs to be investigated. Right here in Minnesota, we have elected officials who are engaging in Islamophobia and have engaged in bashing Muslims. Elected officials like Representative Kathy Lomer and Cindy Pugh have accused Muslims of infiltrating simply because they attempted to do their civic duty and engage in the political process. These two elected officials have refused to meet with the victims of their online attacks. I am one of those victims. I have received more than 10,000 pieces of hate comments on my Facebook page, including death threats. These two elected officials have refused to apologize, and they have refused to even meet with the Muslim community. Words have power. We should not allow a culture of hatred to be fostered in this beautiful state. We need to call it out as it occurs, when it occurs. There are consequences. We do not need to wait until my organization also receives a bombing before we are allowed to ask, why is this happening? Thank you very much.
I would like to call Janae Bates, who's from Isaiah.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Minister Janae Bates. That's J-A, capital N-A-E, last name B-A-T-E-S. And I'm the Communications Director with Isaiah. Isaiah has been doing this kind of work for quite a long time. And we have about 200 congregations across the state that are dedicated to racial and economic justice for Minnesota. Included in those faith communities is our Muslim coalition of Isaiah, which has over 20 mosques that are involved deeply with spreading democracy and participation in democracy across this state. This mosque that was bombed in August is also a part of that coalition. We are deeply, deeply disheartened that there is anyone out there that wants to commit an act of violence against people, period. We are calling out every single person of every faith and none to stand up and speak out against this kind of injustice, to remember that what you say is incredibly powerful. In the book of Proverbs, it says that the power of life and death are in your tongue. The things that come out of your mouth can truly hurt someone. It is not a matter of just your personal opinion or being politically correct. It is about deeply caring for your neighbor, deeply caring about what is said and how that can affect children, adults, and elderly, period, regardless of what faith they are. If you don't understand Muslims or Islam, then learn. Go and actually be curious about them. Inspire some empathy and have a heart for people, because we are all created by one creator. We are all interconnected. When my Muslim brothers and sisters are hurt, so am I, and so should you. So we are calling for every single person to stand up and speak out when they hear anything that is anti-Muslim or anti-Islamic rhetoric. Don't repeat it, call it out. We thank you for coming here today.
Finally, what I want to say is, as you can see, we are a community with young children here, families. So for the person who decided to come all the way from a different state and drive in that long interstate, to come all the way here to bomb a place where there are women and children and families, you should be ashamed of yourself. We want to thank all of our neighbors who, when we got bombed, they came out to support and stand in solidarity with us. We want to thank the law enforcement and even the media community, everyone who took part in getting our word out there so that these criminals can be caught. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And we will be, one of the things that we will be doing is we will be going in March 20 to Muslim Day at the Capitol. And we want everyone to come and stand with the Muslim community as we claim our voice and share and stand against the Islamophobia that our Imam talked about and that's out there. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for coming. Okay,
elaborate at all
question.
on, earlier you said you're concerned today that a neighbor put a target on our back. Can you elaborate on that?
Every mosque in Minnesota, almost in the last few years, has been facing an opposition to even open it. Much of this organized anti-mosque movement is not mainly even focused in the city where that jurisdiction, where that mosque is actually open up. It is a well-organized effort between shadowy organizations now, like Act for America, that provide tools to bring up in city council meetings to oppose. However, the mosque here in Bloomington has several neighbors who actually have been engaging in creating this anti-Muslim sentiment type of language and sharing it online to every single anti-Muslim group in the country, which means whatever content that is being shared from our community will eventually land in the doorsteps of other anti-Muslim organizers who will act upon that. So while not naming individuals, most people in this city, in Bloomington, know exactly who we're talking about. We are not saying at this moment that that person is responsible. However, we want to know, how did someone in Illinois find out this address of this mosque? We know that our mosque has been painted a target by this individual and others in this community, so we're concerned about that. And in addition to that, I want to just say that this past week, we've alerted the FBI after we have noticed and received information from an individual who knows someone from the 3% militia in North Dakota who have posted a video on social media on YouTube where they actually make a model mosque, a replica model mosque, and then they actually shoot at this mosque at a gun range or some open range, and the mosque then explodes. And this is from 2016. So this idea of attacking a mosque with weapons, with explosions, is a well-formulated idea. However, why Bloomington and who and what? And this is the information we need to know. In addition to that, there are a lot of people that know these three individuals. Why did they not step forward? They probably heard of their anti-Muslim rhetoric. They knew these individuals owned guns. They knew these individuals probably were not around when that bombing happened. And that's one thing we want to encourage people to step up and to speak up. There was a plot that was foiled in Kansas that involved Somali community. That was again foiled just earlier in 2016 due to an informant that was working for the FBI.
But can you make any direct, you said you can't make any direct connection between this local blogger and the guys in Illinois?
We cannot. That's where the FBI has to be able to help us out. But
And that's why we are asking for the FBI to investigate so those connections can be brought out.
Yes, we have many,
yes,
many
it's a
times.
well-established. But we're not claiming that an individual is responsible, but for a mosque to be targeted, is there a significance of someone continuously posting, and was their reason? And that's the other part. A lot of people are putting a lot of information on social media, resharing content that is extremely dangerous and also puts the lives at stake, including Imam Assad, who now has received death threats. You know, we don't know who has seen that information and who may even act upon that. So those individuals who are resharing those information and putting our community at risk should also be held responsible for their actions.
Just to clarify, so you have information this week from the people associated with the 3% militia targeting this community again?
We don't know about this mosque. All we know is they put a video up last year in 2016 that shows them shooting at a replica mosque. However, we have given information and access to someone who contacted us who knows more about this, and it's actually troubling. It's not just about the video, it's about the characters involved and their state.
What's the possibility these people who were arrested today have other connections? Are they part of other groups, extremist groups, do you think? Or are they
we don't know. We don't know, but one thing we will say is that in the past few years, most of the anti-Muslim groups have actually went undercover. So they do not actually incorporate. They don't create just a Facebook group. Sometimes they might have a social media print, but most of them are actually behind the scenes. So that is actually something we do know. In addition, many of the anti-Muslim groups today identify themselves as friends of a city. So they will call themselves friends of this city, And that's the name of the group, which most people will not immediately associate that these individuals are connected or getting information from a well-established anti-Muslim group nationally.
And so do you worry these people, whoever, if they are associated with somebody, so the FBI has arrested these people. Could there be more people that they've been associated with that you don't know about yet?
We hope that they do their investigation to find out, yes.
Do you worry about that they may be?
I mean, we are, the Muslim community is at target today. We're seeing that rise of anti-Muslim sentiment in the state, in this country. Muslims are, there's a number of, the one incident that we don't talk about, Muslim students are bullied every single day in our schools. This is probably the most underrated information, but the threat to Muslims has historically spiked, and unfortunately, I don't remember the last time a religious entity was bombed in this country. And so this is definitely something that is not usual. But unfortunately, as we are concerned, but we're also resilient. And today we're continuing, our community is going to continue to move forward. We will work with law enforcement. And in addition to that, we're not going to be deterred by anybody who thinks they can come and bomb our mosque. We are Americans. We're here to stay. We've been here. And we're going to continue to exist and to be part of the society.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.